world record pace, and he was only able to beat his personal best. The world record could have been about 6 seconds faster than what Rain-X had. But regardless of 6 seconds or not, the world record would be broken after 22 days, by 14 seconds. And this person was quite high definition. The thing about Illumina was that despite the growing popularity of the debug tools like F3 information and hitboxes, Illumina enjoys speedrunning the game without debug tools, despite debug tools being crucial for some parts of the run. This caused his world record run to be quite unusual but also more impressive, with strange strategies such as breaking a block to see its breaking texture, which could show you where the X and Z directions were, without using F3. This is due to all breaking textures being oriented the same way. This would be used when he entered the Nether just 3 minutes into the run, when he started digging basalt to look at the cracks, so he could determine where the positive X and Z quadrant of the Nether was. The fast 3-minute Nether entry was due to Illumina going through his village quickly and being able to build a Nether portal without finding a lava lake. When going through the village, he finds 2 blacksmiths, which are one of the most useful village houses for speedrunning due to its overall better loot and its small lava pool. From both blacksmiths, he finds not only an iron sword and pickaxe, but 9 obsidian, just 1 block away from building a portal. Using all his obsidian and some lava from the blacksmith, he makes a Nether portal right in the middle of the village, without having to search for a lava lake. He could just get more obsidian at the bastion. After going into the Nether and going towards one quadrant, he finds a blaze spawner only 4 minutes into the run, and gets 6 blaze rods from 7 blazes, which was great RNG. He then goes towards another quadrant to find the bastion, and uses a route similar to Rain's route to do piglin trading. However, this part was not as optimal due to gold blocks not spawning as much in the bastion, and due to Illumina picking up the gold on multiple occasions while the piglins were still trading, which slowed him down quite a bit. But he was able to get all the pearls and obsidian he needed by 8 minutes and 30 seconds, so he blind travels to the overworld, where he casts some Eyes of Ender to locate the stronghold. He uses the spare Ender Pearls to skip having to navigate the mountainous terrain, and reaches an ocean, which was convenient. One thing you may have noticed with speedruns involving submerged strongholds is that speedrunners usually go into third-person mode and look at their character at a certain angle so that they can see through the ocean. Usually it is impossible to look at what's under the ocean unless you have night vision, but at the right angle, the ocean is very clear. As it turned out, Illumina's blind travel put him about 1,500,000 blocks away from the stronghold, and it took him 4 minutes to go from his second Nether portal to the stronghold. Blind travel is usually harder to do efficiently without F3 due to you needing to know your exact coordinates to know where to put your second Nether portal. So he did not get too lucky with this blind travel as his second Nether portal was probably too close to the origin. After finding the stronghold and swimming down to it, he checks the sources of light as they could lead to the end portal room, and he finds the portal room from the outside. He then makes it to the end dimension 12 minutes and 30 seconds in. Nearly half a minute faster than world record pace. The quick Nether Ender and amazing Blaze Rod RNG allowed him to get this much of an advantage. But in a world record that beat second place by only 14 seconds, anything could have been an advantage. He then gets ready to do the north-south perching strat, and towers up to increase the chances of perching. The dragon strafes him once, but it perches a minute after he entered the end dimension, allowing him to pearl towards the center and do a one-cycle kill, setting a new world record of 13 minutes 53 seconds. It was an impressive run, with many people having mad respect for him not using F3 during the entire run. While it did show that world record was viable without F3, F3 would only be continued to be used more in speedrunning due to its convenience. There were not many new strats in this run, which was why it was not much faster than the former world record. But this world record would be beaten by nearly 2 minutes, after just 3 days. How? What could have led to such a big difference? Was it a new strat or method? This speedrun used a newly developed method known as hypermodern. Hypermodern was a curious strategy explored by several people, that ignores structures usually used in speedruns, such as villages or lava lakes, and takes advantages of structures that were previously not considered meta or viable for a speedrun, such as shipwrecks, buried treasure, and ocean ravines with magma at the bottom. The hypermodern, which works only if you spawn next to an ocean, was first theorized and developed on as early as November and December 2020, and it involves something a little like this. After getting some wood and stone, you would make a boat, some doors, and tools. You would skip finding a village or a lava lake above ground. You would go to the ocean instead. In this strat, you would keep an eye out for underwater lava ravines and shipwrecks. Shipwrecks contain iron, gold, and food such as carrots, potatoes, and fish. They also contain buried treasure maps. You can use the buried treasure map to locate buried treasure, which give even more iron, gold, and food. You would then go for an underwater magma ravine, which are ravines at the bottom of the ocean that go so deep that they reach the lava level, which is indicated by all the obsidian and magma blocks. Underneath the obsidian and magma blocks is a layer of lava. It was basically an underwater lava lake. However, underwater travel consumes oxygen, but that's no problem. Another important part of this meta are doors. Placing doors removes all water blocks from the blocks it is placed in, and players can fit in the same block as a door, meaning you can replenish oxygen whenever you want by placing a door next to you. Breaking blocks is also faster in air compared to in water. Using some doors, some tools, and a bucket crafted from iron found in the shipwreck, you can then do this by using doors to provide air to the player, and then breaking through the magma blocks to reach lava, pouring out the lava into the ocean to make the obsidian for the nether portal, and doing a few other steps. You could make a nether portal without having to find an above-ground lava lake. After that, this is where the hyper-modern strat ends. It only applies to the first overworld part, so speedrunners would still use the average bastion and fortress strat, blind travel, and ender dragon perch. The hyper-modern strat was tried out by several people, but it was never used in a world record run yet. People have used it to get a good nether entry all while having the items they needed, without having to search for a village or a lava lake. The only problem were the ocean ravines, which were not as convenient as surface lava pools for making portals, and it would increase reliance on bastions as there were lots of stuff you were missing out on from villages. It was still viable for a world record though. But who was going to prove it? Two-letter name. Just like many other people, Two-letter name was a previously unknown, but up-and-coming speedrunner. And he would get his chance at setting the world record. Actually, it was 2 chances. Similarly to Rain, he would get 2 great seeds that could potentially be world record, in a span of 2 days. And on both of them, he used the hyper-modern strat. On February 23, 2021, he would barely beat Illumina, by a single second. In the first overworld section, he came across a shipwreck, some buried treasure, an underwater ruined portal, and had enough materials to go into a magma ravine to build the portal, entering the nether in just 4 minutes, with no village. The rest of the run was similar to the strats that the past world record holders used, and he would beat the dragon in 13 minutes 52 seconds. The closest world record yet in 1.16 RSG history. But he was not satisfied just yet. While the speedrun mods were verifying this run, Two-letter name returned with yet another world record just 1 day later, which had a better hypermodern. This time, it would beat the world record by 2 minutes. After spawning into the world and getting wood, the run instantly deviates from the average speedrun. He jumps into the ocean and swims towards this shipwreck. Another thing about hypermodern strats was that due to all the ocean travel, there was a chance you could meet dolphins, which give a speed boost to the player when swimming. Two-letter name used the dolphins to his advantage and was able to reach the shipwreck 1 minute in. He finds some iron, gold, and the treasure map. The treasure is close by, so he decides to go for it. The map leads him to a chest with more iron, food, and gold, and he uses this to make some decent tools. Before he leaves the ship, he makes 3 doors and a boat, and loots one final chest for more food. He uses a door to mine flint from the gravel at the bottom of the ocean, and then swims into this magma ravine, before 3 minutes was even over yet. Keep in mind that the magma ravine is like the equivalent to a lava lake, and getting to the lava lake before 3 minutes was great pace. He successfully makes the underwater nether portal, allowing him to reach the nether in just 3 minutes 20 seconds. After spawning into the nether, he sees a nether fortress, and a bastion as well, right next to each other. Things were looking good. He decides to go to the bastion first as the fire resistance from piglins will be useful in the fortress. It is a treasure bastion as well, the best variant for speedrunning. He then uses Ninja Brain's bastion route for the piglet raids, although it takes him a while to get enough pearls. He also does not have enough string to make the beds for the end fight, but he decides not to waste too much time on the bastion, and decides to pearl towards the blaze spawner in the fortress. Hopefully he could get more string or wool in the later sections of the run. He gets decent blaze rod RNG in the fortress, and after getting 6 rods, he begins traveling to the optimal coordinates to do the blind travel. He makes the second nether portal and returns to the overworld about 9 minutes in, which was slightly behind world record. He casts an Eye of Ender, and uses his pearls to travel towards the stronghold. Along the way, he shears some sheep to get the extra wool he would need to make beds for the end fight. Due to the blind travel and pearls, it only takes him 2 minutes to reach and enter the stronghold, which was way better than the blind travel from Illumina's no F3 world record run. He uses the 4-4 strat for a fast entrance, and is lucky to find the portal room in just 10 seconds. He fills in the portal and enters the end, at 11 minutes 30 seconds. An entire minute ahead of world record. He pearls towards the island and goes to the south side to increase the chance of the dragon perching, but he doesn't make a tower. Instead, he spends this time to make his beds. Luckily, the dragon perches only 40 seconds after 2-letter name enters the end due to no strafes and no tower circling, and he does the 1-cycle ender dragon kill, allowing him to get the new world record of 12 minutes 12 seconds. While this unusual overworld strat was surprising to the community, what was even more surprising was the fact that this speedrunner seemingly came out of the blue, with little past history. And this would happen yet again, in the world record right after this one. You may have noticed that so far, amazing luck, memorization of routes, and technical knowledge of game mechanics was important. But another thing that was becoming important, was quick decision making. A skill of experienced speedrunners is knowing exactly what to do in a certain situation, as there are many choices a speedrunner will have to make throughout a speedrun. Such as, which way to go in a stronghold, how long to stay at a structure before it's time to move on, and countless other choices. At this point, there was no time for indecision. You had to get on with it. Speedrunners had to make split-second choices if they wanted to go for the world record, and this would be seen in the upcoming world record runs. And one of these runs was a world record set 20 days after, by yet another previously unknown speedrunner, named FE666. While 2-letter name's hypermodern strat led him to reaching the nether in just 3 minutes, FE666 was able to reach the nether in just 1 minute. It was not due to any new crazy strategy or method, but it was simply due to an insanely lucky seed. At this point, the top speedrunners had tens of thousands of attempts at the world record, with most of them already being reset before even nether entry due to them not being a world record seed. They had gone through thousands and thousands of world creations. And by March of 2021, several speedrunners already had over 10,000 attempts. A runner known as FE666 had 22,800 attempts, and was still doing attempts. In his case, all of these attempts had been without results so far, with no world record yet. Which is the thing about a lot of unknown speedrunners. But for FE666, it would pay off eventually. Because on March 16, 2021, he would win the seed lottery. This seed was, for a lack of a better word, swag. He spawns right next to a village with a weaponsmith, and a ruined portal as well. Usually, ruined portals are useless at the beginning of the run due to them being incomplete, but in a chest next to the portal, he found enough obsidian to complete the portal. This was after he looted the village and did the bare minimum, not bringing any beds or even any food, although he did find some tools. At this point, speedruns were getting so short that not much food was required anymore, and a few pieces of food found in the nether were enough. He steps in the portal, and for a split second, he edges out because he considers getting a few beds or some food just in case, but he was already committed. He was going to try to play it out without any beds or food from the starting village. Whether this choice would doom the run or not, He would find out later. He enters the Nether in just 1 minute, due to not spending much time in the village. However, in the Nether, he does not see any fortresses and bastion in sight. Well, no matter. There was a strategy to find what direction the Nether structures were. In the debug information is info telling you how many entities are in your line of sight, out of how many entities are spawned. Structures tend to have a lot of entities, so if a structure was in front of you, this number increases. It does not matter if there are blocks obscuring your view. All that matters is that the entities are in your line of sight. While this number is helpful in locating which direction the structures were, there is a way to make it better. By decreasing your field of view, your line of sight is smaller, which lets you get a more specific direction for structures. After using this strat to find the direction of one structure, he gets some blocks and goes in that direction. He discovers that the structure is a bastion, the bridge type. Since Fe skipped getting flint in the overworld, which meant he had no flint and steel to light portals, he would have to use fire charges to light the portal, which are a common trade from the piglins. And although he gets some decent trades, he accidentally throws out his fire charges, which will cost him about 25 seconds later on when he has to mine some gravel repeatedly to get flint. After drinking some fire resistance, he uses the same F3 strat to locate the Nether fortress mobs, and uses ender pearls to teleport there. He messes up a bit with the teleportation, with one ender pearl leading him to fall into an ocean of lava. He was saved by drinking the fire resistance early though. And he had to spend a minute to find the blaze spawner, although he got amazing RNG and obtains 6 blaze rods from 6 blazes. 82% chance. He then teleports to the optimal coordinates to do the blind travel, and spends some time to get flint. Although this Nether part was not very optimized, the insane 1 minute Nether entry balanced it out, and he made it back to the overworld 9 minutes in, which was very good pace. All he needed now was a good Ender Dragon fight, and hopefully, the blind travel put him not too far from the stronghold. And the blind travel paid off. He enters the stronghold in only 1.5 minutes, and enters the end about 11 minutes in, 30 seconds ahead of the world record. He then uses his leftover pearls to teleport on top of this pillar so he can do the north-south perch, and is able to get the dragon to perch about a minute into the fight. He does a 1-cycle kill, and finishes the speed run at 11 minutes 50 seconds. Another insane speed run, done on an insane seed. These recent speedrunners were previously unknown runners that had been playing for a while, hoping that they could get a world record and some recognition. And it was good to see more unknown runners have their chance in the spotlight. But FE666's spotlight would only last 4 days. Because of a speedrunner you have heard of before, and former world record holder. It was the Sizzler. A bit after his world record, he did some 1.14 attempts, before taking a break. And then he returned on January to do some more 1.16 attempts using the new strats. By this point, similarly to FE666, he had gone through 22,001.16 attempts. And that was just in the year of 2021 alone. Along the way, he had gotten very skilled at getting around the terrain, and was extremely fast at crafting stuff, which would help a lot. It was safe to say that he was a far better speedrunner now than when he got his old world record, with tens of thousands of attempts between them. And on March 20th 2021, he would get this run. This run had a nether entry and nether exit that was on par with world record pace. But the thing is, this world record would beat the old record by about a minute. And here's how that happened.
Holy shit. Oh my god!
Remember how I said at the beginning of the video that structures tend to help a speed run out? Well, this one was a bit of a dubious case. The Sea Monument is a rare ocean structure that holds the Elder Guardian boss. which affects all nearby players with 5 minutes of mining fatigue 3, which makes it practically impossible to break any blocks, unless you get rid of the effect, which can be done in 2 ways: dying, or drinking milk. Sizzler did not have milk. A world record speed run would be impossible with mining fatigue, as you still needed to dig into a stronghold, and the run seemed to be over. But not just yet. The second way of getting rid of negative effects is to die. Sizzler basically had to die in order to salvage this world record run. He decides to go towards this nearby island, but on his way, he sees yet another structure in the ocean.
What? Oh, God.
Indeed. It was the stronghold. It was less than 100 blocks away from where he blind traveled, which is one of the best outcomes possible for blind traveling, and the fact that it was underwater instead of underground made it much more convenient to reach. This could break the world record by a lot. But he had to deal with the mining fatigue first. It was okay to die since Sizzler had beds with him, and sleeping in a bed sets your respawn point. Now that the respawn was taken care of, it was time to find the fastest way to die to get rid of the mining fatigue. He tried to drown himself in lava, which would usually be the fastest way to die, but he was immune to lava due to him drinking fire resistance in the nether. And then, he quickly realizes he can use ender pearls over and over again to bring a quick death. So he uses all of his remaining ender pearls to die. While he respawns without mining fatigue, he no longer has any ender pearls left, which will make the ender dragon boss fight quite harder. This mining fatigue also cost him 25 seconds, but it did not matter. The very lucky placement of the stronghold, and the good nether times, allow him to swim inside the portal room and enter the end just 10 minutes in, a full minute ahead of the world record run. He stands at the south edge of the end island to make the dragon perch faster, but he will have to react very quickly and get to the center as soon as the dragon starts perching, as he has no pearls to teleport. He can only sprint there. He makes it just in time, and waits for the dragon to come down. He then does a one-cycle dragon kill, setting an insane world record of 11 minutes, 7 seconds. It was an extraordinary run that showed just how skilled speedrunners were getting. Despite some terrible luck with the ocean monument, he was able to salvage the run with some genius plays. Seeds that were not so perfect could still be turned into world record runs if you knew what you were doing. And since the start of the 1.16 category, not even a single year had passed. The community had seen insane luck, crazily skilled speedrunners, and insane new strategies take the world record first below 20 minutes, then 15 minutes, and ever so closely, to the 10-minute mark. In the 9 years since the Ender Dragon came out, in the history of random seed glitchless, a sub-10-minute run had never been achieved. But people knew it was possible. The strat-finders of the community had already done a lot for Minecraft speedrunning to come this far, but they still wanted to push the game harder. And that was exactly what happened. In a normal blind travel, you had no idea what the angle and distance of the stronghold was, so it was mostly left to luck. Sometimes you would end up thousands of blocks away from the stronghold, while sometimes you can end up only 100 blocks away, which is very rare. But what if I told you? You could find the angle and distance of the stronghold, using normal structures like nether fossils and animals like sheep, and use this information to build a nether portal at the most optimal coordinates, usually putting you only 400 blocks away from the stronghold, and sometimes even inside the stronghold itself. Here's how you could do it. After going through the source code of the game, the way strongholds are generated was much more understood now. The random number generator responsible for making strongholds uses the world seed to produce a bunch of random numbers related to stronghold generation. The first number generated determines the angle of the stronghold, while the third number determines the distance of the stronghold from 0, 0. However, the same seed is used for other random number generators responsible for other aspects of the game such as mob generation or feature generation. So the first and third numbers made by these other random number generators would be the same as the first and third numbers made by the stronghold RNG, because they all use the same seed. but only on one condition. While the stronghold RNG directly uses the seed, the animal RNG uses X times F of seed plus Z times G of seed X or seed, and structure RNG uses F of seed times X, X or G of seed times Z, X or seed. The X and Z are Minecraft chunk coordinates while functions F and G are functions used to randomize it further. This equation is used to guarantee that animals and structures will have different RNG than strongholds. But there was one oversight. 0x or a number equals the same number. So if X and Z were 0, meaning you were at the center chunk of the Minecraft world, this half of the equation would be 0. And since the equation is now 0x or seed, this is equal to seed. So when X and Z are 0, all RNGs use the same seed. Basically, only at the center chunk of the world, numbers produced by the animal and structure RNG would be the same as numbers produced by the stronghold RNG. That means that animals and structures you find at the center chunk will tell you accurate information about strongholds. For example, the chances of mob spawning in any chunk is 10%. The first number produced by animal RNG determines if an animal is even going to spawn, so if an animal spawns in a chunk, the first number for that chunk is less than 0.1. If that chunk was the center chunk, meaning it using the same seed as the stronghold RNG, then the stronghold RNG's first number is also less than 0.1, meaning that the angle offset of the strongholds is somewhere between 0 and 0.2 pi radians. As for nether fossils, the x-coordinate of the fossil is the first number made by the structure RNG, so if the fossil was at the center chunk, the x-coordinate of the fossil determines the angle of the stronghold. There are 16 possible x-coordinates in each chunk, so each x-coordinate corresponds with 1/16 of the stronghold ring, which is about 22 degrees each. For example, if the x-coordinate of the fossil was 7, the stronghold offset was between 7/16 and 8/16 of the stronghold ring. There was a table developed by several people that links each possible fossil x-coordinate to the best places to travel back to the overworld, in case you found a fossil at the center chunk. The table also shows other information that can be determined by other stuff found at the center chunk. It was crazy. The worst case scenario is that divine travel would put you 800 blocks away from the stronghold, which was way better than blind travel. This table of coordinates would take you 2000 blocks away from the origin in the overworld, which is right in between the range of distances the strongholds can spawn at. But there was a table of coordinates that had riskier locations to place your nether portal. These coordinates took you 1500 blocks away from the origin in the overworld, which is very close to the inner radius of the stronghold ring, which is to take advantage of another thing about strongholds. They were more likely to spawn closer to the inner radius than the outer radius. With this riskier table of coordinates, you could end up closer to a stronghold than with the normal table, but the worst case scenario was that you were put 1200 blocks away from the stronghold. Divine travel had been known since around February or March of 2021, and was discovered mostly by Matthew Bolin, with the help of Supercode 79 and Closet Witch. And this method would be tried out by some speedrunners when they got the chance. One of the first divine travel runs comes from Ninja Brain, where he finds a nether fossil at the center chunk. The nether fossil was at x-coordinate 8, which corresponded with these sets of coordinates on the normal table. He goes for the third stronghold, which, as it turned out, was only 250 blocks away from where he returned to the overworld. The divine travel method had potential, although it was quite rare to find any meaningful information at the center chunk. And if you did get the opportunity to do divine travel, you would need an insane rest of the run for a world record. You would need a good overworld time, a good bastion and fortress time, good blaze rod RNG, hope that the divine travel is close to the stronghold, and hope that the dragon perches quickly. Then you would have to do a one-cycle kill. A sub 10-minute run was possible. Many speedrunners had been going for it. Thousands upon thousands of failed attempts passed. Weeks went by and there was still no new world record. But who would be the first to get the sub 10-minute run? On April 19, 2021, this happened. A runner by the name of Brent Tilda not only broke the world record, but he destroyed the 10-minute barrier by nearly half a minute. One of the most insane speedruns in Minecraft history. Here's how it went down. After spawning close to a village, he gets some stone tools, food, 2 beds, wood for making more beds later on, and some iron. However, there was no gravel or flint nearby, meaning he could not get a flint and steel required to light the portal. So he gets some carpets from a house. There are many ways to light a portal if you did not have any flint. The portal lights up as long as a fire block is placed within the obsidian. Since nether portals are built next to lava pools, you could place wood next to the lava and portal, which would catch on fire and light the portal. Carpets catch on fire faster than wood, so he gets carpets to light the portal. However, he spots some gravel nearby, which makes the carpet unnecessary. While this was fortunate, it was always good to be prepared for unlucky situations. He then enters the nether 3 minutes in, which at this point is only a decent time for world record. He looks around for any structures, and he sees not only a bastion, but a fossil, which happens to be at the center chunk. This fossil was at x=8, which will be important info later on. He does some parkour to get to the bastion, which is the housing type, where he does a route called the top-down housing route, made by Dowski. He begins at the top, where he loots these chests for obsidian, string, and iron. This causes the piglins to be aggressive to him and follow him around, as he has been caught stealing. He then goes down these tunnels, leading the piglins down with him. He goes to this specific area where he blocks himself from the piglins and mines below them, causing them to be dropped into a hole, where he throws gold at them. The reason behind this spot is that there are many gold blocks nearby if you looked in the right spots, and there is a nearby chest if you dig through here. He gets all the obsidian and pearls he needs from the chests and piglin trades, including some fire resistance which he uses on himself for the nether fortress part. After pearling across a lava lake, he uses a strat known as render distance manipulation, a strat that had been discovered by T-Wag a while before, which allows you to get blazes without even finding a blaze spawner. Nether fortresses have a low chance of spawning a blaze randomly around its hallways and rooms without having a spawner, which are called stray blazes. But the stray blaze spawn rate is nowhere as close as the blaze spawner rates. The game spawns several mobs spread throughout the chunks that you have rendered, which may include blazes when you are in a nether fortress. But if you lower your render distance to something like 4 chunks, mob spawns are more concentrated around you. This can lead to crazy blaze spawning in a nether fortress, which saves you from having to find a blaze spawner, and lets you kill blazes without having to wait for the spawner to spawn blazes. So he does this, and he finds himself surrounded by hostile mobs everywhere, including those juicy blazes. After getting all the blaze rods he needs, without even needing to go to a spawner, he goes to the location for the blind travel. He remembers that the fossil was at x=8, which corresponds with these nether portal locations. But instead of using the normal coordinates, he was going to use the riskier coordinates. He goes for the first stronghold, which has a recommended nether portal coordinate of -186-37. So he travels there and makes a portal. Hopefully, on the other side, he would be close to the stronghold.
Dude. I can't pause. I can't pause. What? Dude. Oh my god. Dude. What?
"28-year-old Sam Kelly
Does anyone have the chords? Anyone? Negative? You mean negative 696 420? Or wait, that's a joke. Wait, I just got memed on. Wait, I just got memed on. I didn't even real. Okay. What are the chords? What are the nether chords? What are the nether? Stop laughing at me! I need the chords. No. I'm being trolled by chat. They're not getting. I want to start a drama.
if you want to see me make a series, which I haven't done on this channel, I just kind of just make low effort stuff, let me know, even though the admins will probably delete the profile because it's, you know, it's not supposed to be here.
Yo everyone, what's going on? Curryway here, and welcome to another Set Seed video. It's been a while since I did one of these, but continuing with our tradition last year, I thought it'd be really cool to do one for the Set Seed 2022. I have not looked at this seed at all. This is the first time I am loading into it, so let's see what we can find to make this speedrun interesting and entertaining. I'm sure I'll explain this more in the actual run, but there's a new speedrun timer mod, so I'm going to turn that off while we're in creative, so you don't have to see that. Ruined Portal Chest is worth going to, probably, because it gives me a flint and steel, and it also gives me gold armor, which would be kind of nice, but it is not completable. There is a village, and there is also a lava pool, so there's a lot of interesting things kind of right off the bat here. I do want to check for some more interesting stuff, but if that doesn't work out, we're definitely going to go with the village. Didn't find anything else too interesting, so this overworld is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to set block here and put us in the nether. I don't think we'll be entering with an iron pickaxe, so that'll be the hardest part here, and we're going to try and find a bastion to see if we can get iron there, so I don't have to worry about doing COD strats or other slower ways to get an iron pickaxe. So some good news and bad news here. The good news is I should be able to get to the bastion relatively easily through some finagling with the nether tunnels here. Not the best terrain by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see that there is a bastion here. I can kind of just take these tunnels all the way through to the bastion. The problem, though, is that it doesn't look like there's any iron anywhere in the bastion. I checked every single one of these chests, including this bad gap chest, and there's no iron. So we're probably going to be doing something called COD strats, which I'll explain more in the actual video if you're not familiar with them. So there's no spawner within 32 render distance of this bastion. So that's great. Alright, so after careful consideration, I think I figured out how we're going to actually do this. So we're not going to be going to the bastion that's that way, in the wall, with no fortress anywhere close to it. We're actually going to be going this way, and stay with me here, because this will be quite the far trek. But we're going to be going through this basalt biome, going up here, and then up here, and instead of going right, we're going to go left. This is going to give us a lot of open terrain into a crimson forest, and we're going to be able to come here, break down a tree or two, speed bridge across from probably here-ish to get to the bastion all the way over here. Now, you may be thinking this is extremely far, and you'd be correct, because this seed is garbage, trash, garbage, which I don't know what that means for 2022. But probably not a great thing. Luckily, though, we will be able to get iron in this first chest right here with a bit of obsidian as well and a gold helmet, which we won't really need because we already have the flint and the armor from the ruined portal. And we have to go all the way this way then. Keep going through whatever this is. I'm going to have to find a more kind of optimal way through this, I believe. But if we keep going, we'll find the fortress. Now, this is obviously very, very far. But again, like I said, this was pretty much the best routing that I could come up with because all the other bastions were really far and there were no fortresses in the first quadrant whatsoever. So this was the only kind of linear pathing that I could take. We do have 2 spawners, so now I just have to figure out where the optimal spot to put our portal is, and we'll be good from there. Well, that's always a lovely sign when the blind travel is over 2,500 blocks. So I'm gonna have to do some math. Actually, not too much math, because this is pretty I can almost do this in my head. But then we're going to have to figure out where this portal is going, because that's quite a far way away. All right, we've cracked the code. This took way too long. I don't even begin to tell you how long this took. It was quite the doozy. But here's what we're going to do. When we're leaving the stables bastion, we will be heading this way. And this is not actually the direction of the fortress. The fortress is that way. But this terrain opens up really nicely. And it'll also allow us to do something called a pearl hang, which is a pretty technical thing in Minecraft speedrunning, where basically I'm going to unload an ender pearl that I'm going to toss around here. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to instantly teleport back. And that's because the stronghold is there. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to keep going this way. Get to our fortress, do the blaze split, blah, blah, blah. All that good stuff. The really cool thing is that the portal room that we're going to has 3 Eyes of Ender already in it. So that means I only have to grab 5 blaze rods instead of 6, which is not only a time save, but a big RNG factor in the speedrun. So what I can do now is I know the exact chords that I have to go to. I believe it is 460 on my Z, and it's 424 on my Z. Okay, that was really annoying to build this portal, so I just cut that out. Here's the moment of truth, though. Please work. That's not a great sign. Oh, this works. This totally works. Oh, this... I was like, why didn't I get I Spy? But that totally works. And the portal room's actually above me. So that's really interesting. I think that's pretty much it. I guess I could check in the end if it's 0 cyclable, since this is really the first set seed where I could actually do that if I do pull the string. Is the end 0 cyclable? Oh, that's not a great sign. So probably... Oh my god, that's so much, yeah. So unfortunately, the end will not be 0 cyclable, which is really unfortunate because this tower is totally 0 cyclable if I didn't have to dig up like 7 blocks, which is a bit unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? So we'll have to play for perch. Hopefully we get lucky. And yeah, that's it for the routing. This routing took much longer than whatever you see, but I hope you enjoy the run. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the actual speedrun. All right, so this is the completed speedrun of the Seed 2022. Let's get into it here. This seed, as I had mentioned, I thought was going to be extremely challenging, and it did end up being so. But I am very happy with the final time that we got. I am very happy with the way that I played for the most part. I think I showed a lot of really honestly growth since the last couple set seeds that we've done. But as you can see here at the beginning, we're just running to the ruined portal. Gonna do some nice little movement to make sure I don't mess up any blocks. And then right after, we're gonna be heading to the village to take out the golem, get some wood. And yeah, so the first thing, like I said, we're gonna grab this chest. We have the chest plate, which we're gonna grab. We're not gonna grab the boots because the boots have Curse of Binding, which are not good. I do not want to have Curse of Binding boots. So I'm just going to grab the chest plate, and then I'm also going to be able to get a gold ingot, which is really nice. And what that's going to allow me to do is that if I run into any trouble in the bastion getting my iron, or for some reason I aggravate a piglin, I will be able to just trade with the piglin that 1 gold ingot, which is actually kind of nice. But here I'm just going to craft up the ingots themselves. I mess up the gold, but that's okay. And then I throw in my flint and my iron to make my flint and steel, put on the chest plate, and now I'll just be mining cobblestone for only a stone axe and a stone shovel. I don't really need a stone pickaxe here because I'm just going to be making an iron one in the bastion, so it just saves me 3 cobblestone. And I don't really need to make a stone hoe here because I'm not going to be needing that much food anyway, so a hoe is kind of a waste of time compared to just mining the hay bales with my fist. But like I mentioned in the beginning with the routing, you can see that I have a different timer in the top left, and that is because there is a new timer mod which is being used for verification purposes on the Minecraft Speedrunner leaderboard, and it's much more accurate along with it just being in the game. So I figured it would be good to start using it in actual videos, which I've actually started doing on my live streams as well using it. This is a different layout than the one that I have on my live streams because this is only real time instead of real time and in-game time. So the reason that I decided to do only real time for this was because I thought it would just be easier to follow. You don't have to worry about like pausing and stuff, and it's not really, you know, it's not a leaderboard run, it's a set seed, like it's not anything crazy. So I figured real time would just make the most sense. So whatever that time is actually how long it's taking me with an actual clock to beat the seed. But we're leaving the village now. I grabbed 1 bed and made my bucket. Very nice that we were able to get the iron ingot from the ruined portal chest because I don't have to worry about the golem dropping 3 iron, which is absolutely great. And I'm just remembering that this part of the run definitely exists and is in a video that I am publishing to a lot of people. So I'm just going to say that sometimes we have bad days, okay? Sometimes everyone does something like that. And it just happened to be my turn when I was building the portal, okay? It's been a long day. I had speedrun for most of the day already. Sometimes it just happens. So we're in the nether, still sub 3, which was kind of my goal for this. Every time I was entering the nether, I wanted to be sub 3. And then I totally forgot how directions work. And I honestly thought of resetting, but then I did this, which I thought looked really cool. So I wanted to continue the run and keep that in the video. So thankfully, that gas was pretty much the only reason that this run happened, because I thought that was cool. So now we're going to be heading on over to the direction that we need to go. I have my blocks ready to go. This is why we grabbed a bunch of wood in the village, because it's just going to allow me to place a lot of blocks and do a bunch of fancy stuff here that I don't really have to worry about. And it's just really nice to be able to go across the terrain, have a good time, practice my movement. I absolutely love doing this. I know there's a lot of people that ask me kind of all the time, like, how can you improve? How can you get better? Something that I did when I was getting better at speedruns and just kind of wanted to improve on my movement in general is literally go in creative mode or maybe survival mode. Honestly, maybe it's better. Grab like a bunch of blocks and teleport yourself to a basalt biome and just go crazy. Speed bridge, navigate the terrain, all that stuff. And I think it's really, really helpful to get better at the game. I was really happy with how my movement had been up until that point, but it's going to get a little bit more sloppy as we get into the Crimson Forest here. But we are getting closer to the Bastion. I decide to not grab any more wood yet, because I'm going to wait to grab very specific trees with the routing that I was doing. This was actually clean here. I think my movement gets weird when we start building up more. I have some issues, which you'll see, but that's okay. You know, everyone makes mistakes, like I said. The important thing is that we were able to push through it and actually get a good run in the end. So these are the 2 trees that I'll be grabbing. And this is mainly because these 2 trees are kind of away from piglins. I don't really have to worry about hoglins spawning up here because it's very narrow terrain. It's a lot less likely that they're going to spawn up here, and it's right before I actually need the blocks, so it seemed like a good time to grab them. I'm also going to craft a boat here because I hadn't crafted a boat already, which is something that I wanted to do, so I just kind of did that. I thought I already did, but I actually didn't. And then I'm just going to be building up here, and this was just a little bit sloppy overall. I feel like my movement there could have been better, but we were able to get through it. I don't have that many more blocks left. I was actually kind of surprised with how many crimsons I used. I think that's why it felt sloppier than it probably really was, because it was just taking so many blocks to actually get there. And I was not being conservative with my block placements at all. I wanted to just use as many as I could because it would just help me move a lot better in the nether. That was a really great movement spot for me. That's where one of those ones I'd like to have back, but that's okay. We're just going to eat some bread and keep going. I believe I see the Bastion here for the first time, so I was happy. And then there's a bunch of hoglins, so I have to kind of navigate myself here to not get hit off into the lava by the hoglins, because that would be bad. I wanted to go up where that hoglin is, but unfortunately he was directly in the way, so I could not do that. So I'm going to grab some more wood while the hoglins are chasing me, because I need a little bit more explosive wise to craft beds. And you might be wondering, you know, why didn't you grab beds in the village? And basically it's kind of a time loss to grab beds in the village when I'm going to a bastion. I know that I'm going to probably get string and glowstone for respawn anchors anyway, and this was a great use of the gold ingot that I was talking about. And I was kind of confused because I knew someone was mad at me, but I couldn't figure out from where. Then I see who it was, this piglin chasing me, and I don't have any blocks in my inventory because I didn't craft the planks or the logs into planks, but I'm going to be doing that now as I craft my iron pickaxe, which works great. Craft that down. I'm going to break this block, allow this piglin to come through that's aggro, which probably I shouldn't have done, but it's whatever. I wanted to break that gold gilded blackstone block, but I wasn't able to because the piglin got in the way. So instead of breaking that to aggravate the piglins, I just hit the piglin itself, and that worked the exact same way. So I got the same result. Worked out all dandy. Now I'm going to break that block and this piece of wood that I placed, and I'm going to allow all the piglins to flow into the bastion. Use some gold ingots, get them all happy. One dude shot the other piglin, which is pretty funny. And then I'm going to grab the rest of the gold blocks in this stables bastion to get, hopefully, all the pearls that I need. Because the pearls are really the one thing that is going to make this a bit challenging. I already have 6 obsidian from that one chest, which is great. Getting 4 obsidian in trades is not unrealistic at all. It's actually really, really likely. Probably the most likely thing for me. I got a fire res, which is great, so I'm just organizing my inventory. Get some first pearl trades, which is great. Get some soul speed boots, also great. So I'm going to just craft stuff, organize my inventory, and I'm kind of just taking note of, okay, what's my explosive situation right now? So I have 1 respawn anchor right now, and I have 2 beds plus the bed that I have in my inventory already. So that's 4 explosives, and then I ideally would like to get 5. Now I have 5 explosives because of the glowstone that I have, but I do need more crying obsidian for that to be the case. And I'm waiting for pretty much one more pearl trade here. Now I have now I believe I have, yes. Now, once I picked up the Crine from behind me, I have 5 explosives, and I get one more pearl trade, and I am out of the Bastion. So, pretty clean Bastion. I actually got really, really solid trades. The obsidian was a little bit lackluster, but I didn't need more than 4, thankfully, to that chest, so didn't have to worry about getting obsidian trades, and I was able to get a bunch of everything else, which worked out really, really well. So now I'm going to pearl out of the Bastion, and we're going to be on our way to the fortress. And this is where it's going to get really fun, because we're going to do a really cool tech that I've talked about before, and you've probably seen in videos, which is called pearl hanging. And that was another great fall for me, and this is kind of when I realize my food situation, and I hear this hoglin, and make the smart play to just take the 5 seconds, kill the hoglin, and what this is going to allow me to do is get a better food with more saturation and more regeneration, so that I can pearl faster more often to get to the fortress, like, much, much faster. So I throw 1 pearl, and then once I think the first pearl is going to land, I throw my second pearl, and that allows me to lower my render distance once the first pearl lands, as it did, and then the second pearl that I threw in the original location is now hung, and what that means is that as I'm increasing my render distance, I have chunk borders on. As I'm increasing my render distance, I can see more, but since I'm going away from the pearl is still in the exact location that I threw it from. So it works out really well. I'm able to get to where I know the fortress is, and at this point, I'm able to pretty much crank my render all the way back up to 16, which works out great. So this is my normal render. I have the pearl hung in the air, so when I turn up my render distance to 32, it will unhang. It will do its normal pearl stuff once the chunks load in, and I'll be pretty much right there at the blind coordinates that I need to be at for the portal room. I play this extremely sloppy here because I was trying to just play it very fast and not have the wither skeleton hit me, but that did not end up working out how I wanted to. And then I have probably the biggest brain fart moment of my life. So, as you know, I had done 1,000 seeds in a row. So I've literally done this probably 1,000 times. But I had the biggest brain fart of my life, and I just forgot how to blaze bed. I, like, had no idea what was going on. You could see, I'm like, wait, this doesn't look right. So I'm not creating any space for the blazes to spawn, but that's okay. I hear one spawn behind me, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Why is this not correct? And I just place some soul sand. I figure it out. I use my big brain, and the wood that I put behind me to actually keep the netherrack fences there, or nether brick fences there, didn't work at all whatsoever. So this was just like a 20-second time loss to me forgetting my brain, I don't know, in my bed this morning. I don't know what happened. I cannot believe that I just completely forgot how to blaze bed. But as you might have noticed, that was my first blaze rod after I killed like 4 blazes. So I honestly thought that I was probably going to reset this. I'm like, dang, you know, didn't get any blaze rods, didn't work out well. Unlucky, you know, go next. And then I get a second. I'm like, okay. And then I kill this guy. And he almost knocks me off the edge, but thankfully he doesn't. And I get a third, and I'm like, okay. I thought I saw a stray blaze, and I did. And I know that there's another spawner this way. So I decide to play it like this. I kill this stray, and then I see another stray down there. I'm like, okay, well, that works. But this one didn't drop. If that one had dropped and I had 4 rods, I would have just pearled to the stray. But I didn't get the 4th rod, so I waited. I sit here for a spawn cycle, not even really sitting. Kill this blaze, get it. So I throw this really nice pearl to get to this blaze. And thankfully this one drops. I crank my render all the way back up to what I need, a 32 render. I know my fire res is good. I have a minute on it. Get the obsidian in my inventory, and look at that. Boom. All the way back to 400 coordinates after being at like 400, 800, which is absolutely awesome. So now I'm just going to speed bridge to the coordinates that I need to get to. And those coordinates are 424.60. And I make a pretty big mistake here. And that mistake is that I'm supposed to go to 424.60. And I'm building this portal at 425.60, which you might be thinking, that's not that big of a deal. You know, it's a 1 block off. But when you're blinded into a stronghold, it has big consequences. So I'm pretty much praying that this puts me in the right spot. And it does, thankfully. I know where I have to dig up. I'm digging up, place my blocks. I'm directly in the portal room. 3-eye, craft my blaze rods into powder. Put the Eyes of Ender in the portal frame, and I'm in the end at the 12-minute mark. Really happy with how this ended up going. Like I said, this seed is incredibly challenging terrain-wise, movement-wise. Really wanted to just play it safe, and very happy, again, with how I played this. I feel like I played it pretty fast, never felt slow at any point, and just felt good, honestly. Just felt like a good, solid, clean run. And I look at an Enderman, speaking about good, solid, clean run, and I also do something really dumb here. I build up with the Crine Obsidian, because I wasn't thinking that I wouldn't have a like normal piece of obsidian to use. So I don't know what my explosive situation is. Thankfully, I'm able to craft 3 beds and 1 respawn anchor. So that is still 4 explosives, which I feel comfortable with, which is pretty much the least that you can do consistently on the dragon. So I have my 3-bed 1 anchor. I'm excited, ready to go, throw out all the stuff that I don't need, and all I gotta do now is wait for the perch. So with that being said, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and want to see more videos like this, remember to subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this. I had done this before last year for 2021, and I wanted to try it again for 2022. So I thought this worked out really, really well. I heard that Enderman teleport. I thought it was mad at me, but it wasn't. And yeah, if you want to see me go for world record attempts, follow me on Twitch. I've been streaming. I've been live streaming world record attempts now that I finished 1,000 seeds. But thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the 1 cycle. Let's go. That actually was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. We rolled some pearls, we rolled some strays, and we beat it in under 14 minutes real time. My goal was under 15 because the terrain was awful, but that was some sick tech. The pearl hang worked really well. The bastion went great. My movement was pretty solid throughout. I had a couple mess ups, but that was bound to happen. I was pretty happy with it throughout. And we did this on the seed 2022. Not too bad for what I thought was going to be way worse, honestly. I'm really happy with that. I hope you enjoyed the speedrun. And, yeah, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you aren't already. Leave a like, and I will see you next time. Peace out, everyone.
Starting the stream. Everything working? Are we all good? Wait, no, I gotta resend the wait 1 second. Don't start the stream on the stream. No, that's not what I wanted. No, okay, I muted it. Donate here. Be sure to select a reward. Link the charity. Alright. Scroll up. Let me just replace pinned message. Alright, that worked. That worked. I'm a genius. Pause the stream. Alright, it's all going well. It's all going well. Start in the stream. Did I say that already? Did I say that? Look, I'm a washed streamer, okay? I'm out of practice. Actually, maybe I've been making more content than I usually do. I don't know. Alright, if you guys can hear me, everybody say Canada. Canada, late and scuffed. Get out of here. Get out of here. This might be scuffed, honestly. I had to push this up a lot earlier than I planned it originally.
What better way to kick off the new year like looking backwards to the magical year of 2021? Let's take you back to the past to talk about a man who loved ass and cupcakes. I'm talking about EDP445. For those that don't remember, EDP445 was a massive YouTuber who in early 2021 got caught by a group of predator hunters for trying to have sex with a child. He got Chris Hansened and then recorded at the scene of the crime where he defended himself by saying he wasn't actually there to fuck a child, he was just there for some cupcakes. And that kind of became his entire legacy. He's like the cupcake demon. Kind of like how the boogeyman was invented to scare kids into eating their vegetables. EDP is that cryptid, but for cupcakes. Like, hey, you better finish that cupcake. Your grandmother worked hard on it. If you don't, EDP's gonna climb through your window tonight and talk to you about the Eagles or some shit. So his whole thing now is he's been disgraced and banned everywhere on the internet. And I can't even begin to tell you the entire lore. This is probably one of the wildest stories I've ever actually seen in real time on YouTube. It just had so many twists and turns. There's a fucking crazy chapter in this whole thing where EDP sent a picture of his poop in a toilet to the kid. He like said, I ate a greasy pizza and took a fat shit, and then dropped a picture of his shit in the toilet bowl to them. It was a nutty ride. But anyway, since then, it's been radio silence for about 8 months. No one's really known what's happened to him. There's been tons of rumors of course that would start like he's in jail, or, you know, he's running for governor now, or he went to space and now he's a space pedophile, you know, just all kinds of things with no evidence. And last night on stream, chat made me aware of a new video that had an update with accurate information and a breakdown of the EDP story and where he is today. So I watched it last night on stream. That's twitch.tv/moistcritical. I stream every day. I'd love to see you there. I'll put the link in the description. Just please come on, swing by. I'm probably streaming right now. So I'll go ahead and play that for you now, and then I'm going to go over a bit more afterwards because I've done a little more research this morning on the situation. But just be aware that in the clips here, last night was New Year's, so there's a lot of fireworks going off in the background, so that's that banging that you keep hearing. Chat kept thinking I was kicking my desk, which confuses me because it's not like my desk is made out of nitroglycerin. It's not going to make like that kind of massive bang. So yeah, just a quick heads up there. The EDP445 video we're watching comes from YouTuber SunnyV2, who did a great job of researching the topic and getting all of the information out there. Okay, let's check on the EDP situation. Apparently he got arrested and went to jail, but this would be the first I've heard of that. So, let's see.
EDP445 has been fired from 3 different jobs over the last couple of weeks as a result of people exposing his employment to TikTok.
What? Wait, really? Hold on, I didn't get a chance to read that Reddit thread. Did he actually try... Did he actually try and work at Chuck E. Cheese? There's no chance. Again, for those that don't know, EDP was the YouTuber who got exposed for being a pedophile or whatever, talking to kids and shit. He's most known for like the fist bump he tried to get from the predator catchers, as well as saying he was just there for a cupcake, even though there's like tons and tons of DMs of him confirming he was going to go there to try and fuck a kid. And then apparently now he's been fired 3 times, and one of the places was Chuck E. Cheese. I genuinely don't believe that.
From a few different properties, and he's now living out of a suitcase in a couple of unconventional crappy locations.
He had like 3 million subs. How is he out of money?
Update in the EDP445 tragedy is that
did he give it all to a 13-year-old or something?
One of his former YouTube 445 was caught in 4K on his way to pick up a cupcake. The topic was covered by almost everyone in the commentary community.
I'm sure by now many of you let's go! The EDP445 situation.
Creators who supported him in the past, such as Some Ordinary Gamers, would
Let's
upload
go!
a video titled
We did that on stream.
Needs to be arrested
That was a
immediately.
wild
Why has
stream.
EDP been dropping hard? Because EDP is an individual that actually got Chris Hansen.
And after it was revealed of his banning, EDP was exactly 30 years old.
I like how it's being called the
Content since
cupcake event.
2010 when he was 19 years old. So the 179 million views deleted in the process meant that his entire portfolio of work completed in his 20s, 10 plus years worth of labor, was wiped out quite literally overnight. One mistake was all it took for YouTube to decide that EDP445...
It wasn't one mistake though, right? As he mentioned, there was a history of mistakes, but this was the biggest. Charlie from 24 Hours in the Future. I decided to look into the other cases because, as mentioned in the video, there was a lot of previous allegations, even before this one, of EDP engaging with minors in inappropriate manner. So I looked into all of those, and for about a full year, a lot of evidence was surfacing that EDP kept flirting with and trying to hook up with underage fans. But somehow for all of 2020, it all kind of flew under the radar and wasn't made a big deal. And it's not because he did a good job of defending himself, like his defense wasn't bulletproof or anything, he's no Saul Goodman. When it was brought to light a few times during live streams, all he said was, a bunch of no-life, no-pussy-getting motherfuckers kept pretending to be girls and my dumb ass fell for it. And that's it. Like, that's how he brushed it off. He basically just confirmed, like, yep, I've been talking to people I believed were underage girls. And then that was it. That's where it stopped. So I'm surprised it wasn't a bigger deal before this investigation, but this was definitely the most thorough with the most evidence and actually going there in person and catching him in 4K. But I'm just shocked that it took this long with all of these allegations out there. So, as mentioned in the video, it was not just this one mistake. He had an entire history of doing this kind of shit.
Account was deleted, another income stream had gone up in smoke. EDP445 then attempted to switch to Facebook. However, after gaining 6,000 followers...
So that was real? That was really his page?
The same story over on Instagram.
Someone told us... Well, not someone. A bunch of people told us he made a Facebook page after the cupcake event. And I didn't believe it, because when you went to the Facebook page, like, one of the only things there was, like... what was it again? It was... We watched the video. It was some, like, really goofy video. I think it was even just talking about football or something, and then he casually mentioned he wasn't a pedophile while talking about football. He's like, Yeah, the Eagles are gonna go all the way this year. Not a pedophile. Yeah, I just really have a whole lot of faith in the Eagles. Where they're gonna fly. I thought for sure that was like a joke Facebook page, but I guess it's real. Yeah, no, that was after Cupcake event. So on the EDP timeline, there's BC, which is before Cupcake, and then AC after Cupcake, and this was AC with the Facebook page. It really seemed fake, but I guess not.
He planned on making his own website to which he would continue posting.
That was real too?
EDP445 announced over on Facebook that he will be making his grand return to the internet with his own website to return to his old video.
Man, EDP445.com. It's coming soon. Been about like a week, maybe 2
No
weeks
fucking
from now.
way. That was
445.
again. So we've been in this lore for a minute, playing in the pig pen, with all this exposition here, in real time. The website, I also was told, was previous clips from older videos where he mentioned wanting to start a website. This was not after the Cupcake tragedy, but I guess that was inaccurate. So he really, after getting banned everywhere, tried to make the EDP website. I don't know what the fuck would be on there besides, like, I don't know, baking recipes or some shit and then talking about the Eagles. But, man, my God. I guess all of that was real, and I was making fun of people who told me about it, saying, like, you're too gullible. No, I'm the idiot. Oh, yeah, I guess he could post shit pictures on his website, too, which is cool. Kind of like a new modern-day Rate My Poo, if anyone remembers that from the early internet. Rate My Poo was kind of lit. It was just this community project where a bunch of people would take pictures of their shit in the toilet bowl, and then you'd have a star system and give it a 1 out of 10. And then you'd get to the next piece of poop. It was pretty cool. That was big back in the Gears of War day. People would often, like, disguise the Rate My Poo link as something else and send it to people in the community to get them to rate shit pics.
In spite of how much of a scumbag EDP445 truly was, you have to give him credit for sheer determination, because he'd then begin to upload videos on another third-party website called 3Speak TV, where his account would be met with the same fate. It was banned.
What is
He wrote,
3Speak?
for some reason, my channel was deleted. I don't have a clue what's going on. I didn't violate any guideline. Can you please tell me what's going on? EDP.
That just sounds like some kind of
Seen as though
student server.
EDP445
Like
was
a university
slowly getting
project.
message from each and every Fives Lift profile,
Bro went from wanting cupcakes to driving for Lyft.
and his position
God damn, man. Why? Like, even after all of this, he is still taking these pictures. This looks like a predator. Why? Just take a normal fucking picture.
Driving for Lyft.
and his position as a driver would subsequently be removed by the company. The situation would promote Reddit discussion, with one post stating EDP as a Lyft driver, how the mighty have fallen, which received commenting to a very basic unconfirmed source. EDP also apparently applied a Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay, so that is definitely a lie.
Didn't seem to get the position. EDP 445 no
So that was
longer had
definitely
the
a fucking
ability to
lie.
make money online or in. The strange part about this is that when you try and search the court register from the Reddit post by typing in his name, Bryant Moreland, it now states that there are no results found, possibly indicating that EDP 445's name change has been successful and he's no longer
Oh
known
my
as
God.
Bryant Moreland.
As you can see, I
He could be anywhere
his
now.
name, Moreland Bryant. Submit. No results.
He could be
However,
anyone.
The problem with this, as outlined by the EDP 445 subreddit,
Imagine he
is
just
that he's
changed
not
his
exactly
name to,
hard
like,
spot. This idiot
Borland
thinks this will
Myrant.
fix anything LeMayo. He will be spotted everywhere no matter him.
Constant harassment the property owner has been getting.
Since then, EDP has been living out of a suitcase at various hotels. However, even then, his detractors have been going around trying to get him kicked out of wherever he happens to
How are
stay.
they finding him?
Everyone in here.
What?
I will be more than happy to let them know. Thank you very much.
It's like when Shia LaBeouf put a flag in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere, and people on 4chan found it using star constellations and airplane routes. They're finding EDP in his suitcase across the country. A global game of Where's Waldo. They're passing out flyers and shit. Oh my god.
Less than a month ago, on the 3rd of December 2021, he'd uploaded a video titled, Is EDP 445 in Jail? In this video, Felipe explained that while out having dinner, he'd get a call from a private number, stating that it was EDP 445, who was being held at the Henderson, Nevada Detention Center.
So the third time I picked up, I was like, hello? And
What?
it said, yes, because I was like, I was just curious to see, like, holy sh**, like, he got arrested, like, wow, you know?
The issue is the only evidence that he's able to provide is for no caller ID calls on his iPhone, which isn't exactly rock solid evidence to say the least, and Felipe's
Give me some
character is
water, guy.
suspect at best. He only gets views when he talks about EDP 445, and without EDP on the internet to defend himself, anyone can say anything. Additionally,
True.
if EDP did
Good
successfully change where Henderson is, Kern County, which is where Bakersfield is, and Manatee County, which is where Bradenton, Florida is, which said that he was connected to online. No Bryant Moreland is in any of those prisons. In the end, it doesn't really...
That was pretty fucking interesting. Jesus. Yeah, I think there's a 0% chance he's in jail for what it's worth. Almost every single time when there's like a vigilante predator hunter that exposes a predator, the law enforcement throws out the case pretty much on the spot. The shit very rarely leads to like incarceration for the people that they catch. It's only in really rare circumstances. Like even that PlayStation guy that got fired from PlayStation for being outed, he's not arrested or anything. But, I mean, even still, it worked really well here. EDP lost every platform that he could use to prey on children, so overall, net positive. Even if he's not in jail, like the video mentioned at the end, his life is kind of like a perpetual fucking jail, because people are still hunting him, I suppose. Still locating him. So, where does that put us in the Eat the Pussy 445 universe? Where is he now? What's true and what's false? From everything I've been able to gather online, what's true is he has not been able to hold a job because people keep making the companies aware of his past, so they let him go. He has been evicted from the places he's tried to stay. He is struggling with money, which absolutely blows my mind because at 2 million subs, and the amount of money that he'd be making at 2 million subs, he should have been set for life, so he must have a problem with spending money. Even though a lot of his content would get demonetized, he'd still have plenty, because demonetized content still makes money, and it's not negligible amounts of money. So, those are all true. What is also true is he attempted to change his name, but what's unknown is whether or not that was successful. It seems like his name change has been successful, however, can't confirm nor deny that. And what also seems to be false is the claim that he's in jail. There's no real evidence to say that he's in jail, it just sounds made up like the Tooth Fairy or some shit. The only source that says that is that YouTuber, and as mentioned in the video, he has incentive to like make EDP content and say things like that because it gets him views, so it's not the most reliable, and he didn't provide very good evidence or proof for it. It is also true he's been banned on every platform the internet has ever had, it seems. He's tried everywhere, so he's banned on like Facebook, Instagram, 3Speak, Cameo, fucking any website you could possibly imagine he's banned from. Club Penguin, Wizard 101, Discord probably, I mean, God only knows. He's tried everywhere in order to try and get back on the internet, and it hasn't worked at all. Every platform immediately gets rid of him. So yeah, that's the full update on the Eat the Pussy 445 story. I just wanted to revisit this since this video was recently posted, and it's a story we followed from the very get-go. Is this a game? No, Melody Sheep does these like really high effort productions for life in space. I hope the aliens are fuckable. Amen, brother. Don't we all?
Can I place the block?
Minecraft random seed glitchless speedruns can be unpredictable to say the least. There could be periods of many months between new world records, then suddenly multiple world records in a short time span. For every world record, there is a former world record, and as with all things in life, someone will inevitably get the short end of the stick. Well, there's been one person in particular who has had many of their world records sniped within days of getting them, even once within seconds. I'm talking about Illumina, and in this video I'm going to go over some coincidences that are almost too surreal to be real. On May 5th, 2020, Illumina and Real Benix were both live streaming their runs on version 1.14 in hopes of getting the first sub 25. About an hour into Benix's stream, he loaded up a world and Illumina did the same 10 seconds later. Little did either of them know, they would both be breaking the world record at the same time. Being that this is 1.14 Classic, you may be unfamiliar with how the run works, so I'm here to tell you. After gathering basic resources, players enter the Nether and get blaze rods. They will also get TNT from desert temples and use it to blow up savannah villages or dark oak forests. This is because you can trade villagers sticks for emeralds and emeralds for ender pearls, which is way faster than just killing endermen. After pearls and rods are obtained, players head to the stronghold, enter the end, and kill the ender dragon. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, they both just created their worlds. Benix spawned near a village with a desert temple close behind him, a very good spawn. Illumina's spawn was eerily similar, but instead of a plains village, he had a desert one. Over the next few minutes, both players collected basic resources such as tools, food, and iron, and the first one to enter the Nether was Benix. About a minute and a half later, Illumina would enter, but Benix already He had collected 3 blaze rods by that time. Remember though, blaze rods are very RNG dependent. Not only do they have a 50% chance of dropping, but the amount of blazes that will spawn every cycle ranges between 1 and 4. BenX got pretty good drop rates, going 7 for 11, taking 2 minutes to acquire those, and Illumina went 7 for 12, but only used 1 minute and 40 seconds killing blazes. With a combination of better spawn rates and finding a stray blaze, he was able to gain some time back on BenX, only to have that become obsolete due to his nether portal's proximity to the fortress not being great. Anyways, with both players back in the overworld, now is a good time to remind you that neither of their villages were savannah ones, so they had some exploring to do. BenX chose to travel by horseback, and by the time Illumina was exiting the nether, he had located a dark oak forest and was blowing up trees. Illumina, however, was able to find a savannah village. Contrary to what you may think, at this point both runners are on virtually the same pace. Even though BenX was ahead of Illumina exiting the nether, having to travel to a dark oak forest and back to a village for trades is a time loss. Over the next few minutes, both players got their wood and started their trades, but what I haven't told you yet is that the most tense part of the run was quickly approaching. You see, when unlocking the 3rd trade from a cleric, you actually have a 2 out of 3 chance of getting the ender pearl trade. 1/3 of the time, you will get glass bottles, and the glass bottle procedure is to reset the run. Fortunately for the runners, they both got the ender pearl trade, meaning that statistically, you probably shouldn't speedrun version 1.14 directly after watching this video. Anyways, BenX threw his first eye of ender at 1535, and Illumina did so at 1558. Now the journey to the stronghold, so let's skip forward a few minutes. BenX located the stronghold and started digging down at 2007, and about 35 seconds later, he entered the end. Illumina started digging down at 2103, and his stronghold layout was much worse than BenX's, so he wasn't in the end until 2225, a minute and 22 seconds behind BenX. Now, the only thing standing in both of their ways was the Ender Dragon. The end fight strategy for this time period was to bow down the towers and deal damage to the dragon when it perches by exploding beds and whacking it with a sword. While it's not perching, players usually try to chip away at its health with arrows. Typically, it would take 2 perches to be able to kill the dragon, but perch speed is very dependent on RNG. While Illumina may have entered the end much slower than BenX, both of their second dragon perches happened at around the same time, with Illumina getting his 10 seconds ahead of BenX. With a final bed explosion, Illumina killed the dragon at 24:37, finishing the run with a time of 24:46. BenX killed the dragon at 24:42 and finished the run with a time of 24 minutes and 52 seconds. Incredibly, they finished their runs a full 3 seconds apart from each other, making this most likely the most unlikely event to have ever taken place in speedrunning. Now that is a sentence you gotta say 5 times fast. I'm gonna show their final times side by side, and I want you to tell me who you think got the world record. Is it A, Illumina, B, BenX, or C, Matthew Bolin? If you guessed A, you would actually be incorrect because these timers aren't what's used to properly time a run. Minecraft speedruns are timed using in-game time to avoid hardware discrepancies, and BenX had a worse PC than Illumina. In turn, he had to spend a total of 15 seconds loading dimensions, while Illumina only had to spend 6. When these runs happened, Illumina had the world record, but after a thorough retime, BenX was given the title. In other words, Illumina's world record lasted for 3 seconds. Let's skip forward nearly 11 months to February 22nd, 2021, well after version 1.16 had been released. At the time, the world record was shared between Raynex and Xylonox, both with times of 14 minutes and 7 seconds. On the first run of his stream, Illumina loaded into a pretty good seed. He spawned near a village, and that village had 2 blacksmith houses which together contained 9 obsidian and an iron pickaxe. After killing the iron golem to be able to craft a bucket and flint and steel, he entered the nether at 3 minutes. At this time, Illumina didn't use the F3 function, which lets a player know if and when there is a bastion within render distance in the nether, so spawning in a basalt delta wasn't a fantastic sign. Not only can bastions not spawn there, but movement speed can be pretty limited. Fortunately, he soon stumbled upon a nether waste biome and with it, a fortress. Upon climbing up to the fortress, he was able to see a treasure bastion in the distance, and at this point, he realized that this could be a really good run. Now, a lot of players would play the bastion first in this scenario because piglin trades give fire resistance and blazes are scary and shoot fireballs that hurt. Illumina, on the other hand, is built like a Gustav gun and played fortress first, showing those blazes who's boss. This decision paid off because he went 6 for 7 on blaze rod drop rates. Now for the Bastion, which was a treasure type. With treasures, players typically mine 2 gold blocks on the bridge, make their way up the stairs to where the rest of the gold is, and trade with piglins. Illumina's route was pretty similar, except for the fact that there was some lava flow blocking part of the path. Sometimes, lava flowing in bastions can mean just having to reset the run, but Illumina was fortunate in still being able to go up the stairs. Once he had piglins trading, he mined the necessary gold and threw down his exiting nether portal right in the bastion. Illumina left the bastion at 8:30 and the stronghold was super far away. On top of that, the terrain he had to traverse in the beginning was awful, but it was saved by him getting plenty of ender pearls from the bastion. Soon enough, he hit an ocean, and for the remaining distance he just had to boat because the stronghold was ocean exposed, and most importantly, so was the portal room. Illumina entered the end at 12:30 and everything was now in the hands of the dragon. As the time ticked, the window for world record was shrinking, but alas, at 13:33 the dragon perched and he performed a very clean one cycle, finishing the run with a time of 13 minutes and 53 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, Willie's gonna come over soon. Yep. Okay. Willie. Okay.
He had just set a new world record and gotten the first ever sub 14-minute run nearly 6 months after Corbanos got the first sub 15. This run was a big deal. He had proven that it was possible to get a 1.16 random C glitchless world record without using F3. Not only does this run have 3.7 million views on YouTube, but Carl Jobst even made a video about it, calling Illumina the GOAT of Minecraft speedrunning. This run single-handedly ended world hunger, brought peace to the Middle East, and it was broken not 24 hours later. Okay, let's backtrack for a second. Who broke the record? Well, none other than the man with 13 letters in his name, 2-letter name. Now, at the time, TLN, which is what I'll now refer to him as, had a personal best of 1524 and was fiending for that sub 15. Well, he did one better and got a sub 14. Instead of fully breaking down this run, I'm gonna draw parallels to Illumina's run. Instead of spawning near a village, he instead spawned near an ocean where he got iron from a shipwreck and more from a buried treasure. He entered the nether at 3:45, 45 seconds slower than Illumina, but instead of playing Fortress first, he chose to play the Bastion first. I wonder why. Anyways, after routing it and getting all of his trades, he was off to the fortress at just under 6 minutes. At this point in the run, Illumina is entering his Bastion, but not long after, TLN finds a fortress and enters it. Just over 7 minutes. In some absurd stroke of luck, he runs into 6 stray blazes, 4 of which drop. Soon after, he ran into a group of 3, with 1 more dropping, giving him 5 blaze rods before he even made it to the blaze spawner. Once at the blaze spawner, he got almost no spawns, but the one that did spawn dropped a rod, and he was out of the nether at about 9:10, 40 seconds slower than Illumina. Now, TLN didn't have ocean travel, but his stronghold was significantly closer than Illumina's. Still, the power of an ocean-exposed portal room is unreal, and Illumina was in the end 13 seconds before TLN. Quite literally, the entire run was gonna come down to the perch because he needed a faster one than Illumina's. At 13:30, the dragon perched, but he was unable to kill it with 5 beds. No worries though, because 4 axe blows later, the dragon was dead and his final time was 13:52. Now, keep in mind that this run hasn't been retimed, so it's quite likely that the actual time was more like 13:50. Hold on a second, did you catch that? I just said that a world record run hasn't been retimed. Why on earth would that be? Well, sit around the campfire and let me tell you a story of how TLN absolutely fucking shattered his own world record the day after getting it, which was also the day after Illumina got his. Actually, I already made a video about this exact event, but I'll still briefly go over the run. Much like his last run, TLN got iron from a shipwreck and way more iron from a buried treasure. He was in the nether at 3:20 and he was immediately able to see a bastion and a fortress. He went to the bastion first and was out of it at 6:20. Funnily enough, if the piglins hadn't given him enough fire resistance potions to tranquilize a medium-sized horse, he would have been out way sooner, but in this run, the fortress was also way closer. After pearling to the spawner, he killed Blazes until he had 6 rods and left the nether at almost exactly the same pace as his last run. The only difference is that when he threw 2 eyes of ender in order to gauge how far away the stronghold was, the second eye throw changed angles by 30 degrees, telling him that he was basically on top of the stronghold. He entered the end at 11:18, and with the guitar solo from Freebird by Leonard Skinner playing, he was prepared to kill the dragon. What he wasn't expecting was one of the fastest dragon perches ever. After landing a 5-bed 1 cycle, he claimed the world record again, but this time it wasn't gonna get beaten so easily. Also, I don't know if you remember, but earlier in the video I mentioned that it took nearly 6 months to break the 14-minute barrier, and here TLN was breaking the 13-minute one in 2 days. At the end of the day, Minecraft speedrunners just want to see each other succeed, and I'm sure Illumina is no different, but having your world record broken the day after you get it, then the same person shattering that record the next day, is quite unfortunate to say the least. Let's skip forward a bit, specifically to April 19th, 2020. This was the day when Brentilda got the first and only sub 10-minute run, and at the time nobody really knew how hard this would be to beat. Well, it wouldn't take too long to find out, because after multiple months of nobody even getting a sub 11, it appeared to be the magnum opus of Minecraft 1.16 RSG. There are a few things that you need to know about this run, and one of them is that Brentilda paused for over 90 seconds. At the time, you were allowed to pause like that, but having an in-game time of 9:36 and a real-time attack of 11:09 brought some debate amongst the Minecraft speedrun community as to whether IGT or RTA matters more. In terms of the leaderboards, IGT is what matters, but having the RTA world record was no small feat. The thing is that Brentilda's run was so good that he had the RTA world record as well. During the run, Brentilda entered the end at around 8:20 after using a strategy called Divine Travel to go from the nether directly to the room next to the portal room. From entering the end, the dragon perch speed basically comes down to RNG. For the longest time, nobody had been able to enter the end faster than 8:20 or beat the RTA world record, but that would all change on the day of August 26, 2021. Who would achieve this? Well, Illumina of course, so let's take a look at how he did this. This run starts unlike any run I've talked about in this video, with a mapless buried treasure. What is a mapless buried treasure, you probably just said to your screen? Well, essentially by using the pie chart, you can know if you're in a chunk with a buried treasure. On top of that, buried treasures always spawn at the 9 chunk coordinates, so by knowing the chunk, you can find the treasure. If you're looking for a more in-depth explanation, I suggest watching Talking Mimes video, which will be linked in the description. Anyways, the buried treasure has 8 iron, 3 diamonds, gold, and some food. On the island where he spawned, there was also a lava pool, so after getting wood and crafting tools, he was able to enter the nether at 2:25. Since Illumina is using F3 in this run, he is able to pinpoint the location of a bastion and begins to head in the direction. On the way, he runs into a fortress, which is an extremely good sign of a bastion. This fortress, however, is in a soul sand valley, meaning that a lot of mobs will spawn. In Illumina fashion, he plays the fortress first, big dicking every blaze fight, giving no fucks while effortlessly dodging fireballs and fending off wither skeletons. Not only that, because his blaze rod drop rates were exceptional, and as he goes out of the concealed area of the fortress, ta-da, the bastion. At exactly 420, he got his final blaze rod, insert funny joke, and the bastion was a housing type, which is arguably the best type, but definitely the most consistent for getting trades. By breaking a chest, he is able to aggro piglins and they chase him to where the gold is. After trading for a bit, he gets everything that he needs, and since he is already at good coordinates, he is able to exit the nether at 609, which is an absolutely ridiculous pace. Unfortunately, he spawns in a cave, but fortunately, he's not too far from the surface and just digs up. He throws his first Eye of Ender at 651, and after traveling in its direction, he hits a large ocean. Wanna guess what happens next? If you guess that he paused the run to make a viral TikTok dance about him being on world record pace, you wouldn't be correct because he actually finds an ocean exposed stronghold. This stronghold also happened to be very linear, so he was able to find the portal room fairly quickly. At 750, he enters the end, becoming the first person to enter sub Brentilda and having a legitimate shot at the seemingly impenetrable world record. Unfortunately, this isn't the world record, so here's a sad time lapse of the time ticking away. Finally, at 1040, the dragon perched and he pulled off a very clean one cycle. His RTA was 1103, which finally dethroned Brentilda's 1109 record. On top of that, this run was also the second ever sub 11 minute IGT. By all accounts, this run is insane. I'd argue that this run alone has redefined how players look at 1.16 RSG and boosted morale by a shit ton. After not a single person breaking Brentilda's IGT or RTA world record for over 4 months, this run is like a breath of fresh air. But it doesn't end there, because the Illumina curse struck again 2 days later. Not only was this run a brand new RTA world record, but it happened during something known as the K4 Hour Challenge. Basically, it's a challenge hosted by speedrunner K4 where people try to beat as many runs as possible in a 4-hour time span. Being that runners are just trying to beat as many as possible rather than beating the game as fast as possible, resets are more sparse, and a normal time for a run during this challenge would be around like 20 to 25 minutes. In other words, Hofik 1337 beat the RTA world record without even necessarily attempting to. Let's take a look at the run. He spawns on an island nearby a shipwreck and some conveniently placed dolphins help him glide over to it. The ship contained plenty of iron and food, and nearby was a magma ravine which Hofik would use to enter the nether. His nether spawn was right next to the fortress, and similar to Illumina, he played fortress first. After going 7 for 10 on blaze rods, he uses his F3 to find a bastion, and it turns out to be a stables. By far the fastest one with really good RNG. The biggest concern with the route he took is not getting enough obsidian, but top chests have him covered. I mean, holy fuck, 30 obsidian. Anyways, after getting all of his pearls, which took a bit of time, he exits the nether at 753, much slower pace than Illumina. However, he doesn't spawn underground, rather he spawns over an ocean, and wanna guess what's poking out very close by? The portal room of the stronghold. Hofik entered the end at 847, about a minute slower than Illumina, but Illumina got a bad dragon perch. With a relatively decent one, he would easily beat the RTA world record. Well, this time the dragon was more favorable, and after baiting the perch, it actually perched at 1024, and as a wise man once said, enjoy the one cycle.
Holy fuck.
What the fuck? Oh, what was that?
The final RTA time was 10:45 and the IGT was 10:36, making Hofik the first person to ever get within 1 minute of the IGT world record. So far, I've analyzed how Illumina held a world record for 3 seconds, 1 day, and 2 days, but is he really that unlucky, or was it inevitable? I think we can all agree that the Benix vs Illumina 1.14 world record was super unlucky, but what about the 1353? Well, in order for me to answer that question, you need to understand what was going on in the Minecraft speedrun community at that time. Using F3 to locate bastions was something that was publicly released by K4 on February 15th, a week before Illumina's run. It would be an understatement to say that this discovery that was hiding in plain sight changed everything. Runners were able to reset way more efficiently knowing whether there was a bastion or not, and finding a bastion no longer was a daunting task. In my opinion, that world record was never gonna stick for very long. If not for a 2-letter name, the Blazer 97 would have beaten it 4 days after the run happened, and a month after it would have been 6th place. It is, however, pretty unlucky that he got a world record while so much change was going on in the category, but that's a completely different discussion. So what about the 1103 RTA world record? Well, I think it's a very similar story to what happened with the 1353 because new strategies are starting to get used, like forcing 20 obby from a bastion so the option for perfect travel is available. Granted, Hofik didn't use perfect travel, but still, many people have entered the portal room at low 9 minutes only to not have enough Eyes of Ender, so eventually someone had to get lucky enough. I will, however, acknowledge that getting a 3-minute perch was very unlucky. Also, I think it's very telling that in this video I just went over a fraction of the world records that Illumina has set. Most people won't ever get a world record, much less have 3 of them beaten right after acquiring them. Anyways, this is the longest commentary video I've ever made, and my voice is starting to get tired, so I hope you enjoy.
I'm already back in video games again. I'm really in the rabbit hole. I actually vaguely remember this story. When they were shutting down the Halo 2 servers, they couldn't do it because there was a couple players holding the servers hostage. They refused to go dark. They did not go quietly into the night.
If you've ever wondered why you can't connect to the internet on the original Xbox, it's because they shut down the Xbox Live 1.0 servers on April 15th, 2010.
That day still lives in infamy.
They tried to. The announcement was made in February. That gave gamers 2 months to say their final goodbyes to Xbox Live 1.0 and all those games that made the service so special. As April 15th quickly approached, Battlefront 2 and Halo 2 were filled with players wanting to relive that experience one more time before it was taken away.
God, that's
When
so
that
wholesome.
fateful day hit, and as the clock struck midnight, nothing. People were still online, and they were confused. It turned out
Prime agent.
Microsoft had changed the rules. No one else was allowed on the service, but if you were online when it got shut down, you could keep playing until you were done. So that was it. Just one rule. Don't get
I wish there was
disconnected.
still a
That
guy
means no
holding
logging in
out.
anywhere else, no
I wish
losing
someone had
connection,
more
and no
strength.
turning off your Xbox. For some,
We
that
could
meant
still
getting
have
to
it.
play the game for just but the numbers slowly dwindled from 500 to 100 to 50 and finally 14. There was only 14 people keeping the
God,
original Xbox
fucking
Live alive,
heroes.
and they could only play with each other. When they were all online at the same time, they would play matchmaking. If not, they would have to play in custom games with no interface.
Wait,
but
is this them? Is this the Noble 14? Well, one guy doesn't have a name. He's anonymous. In order to avoid being hunted by the government, I suppose. Surely they have videos from back then, right? You would think.
each other. At this point, it had been 12 days. People's Xboxes were burning out and getting ruined, so why even stay on? Every player had their own answer, but I
Oh, here they
interviewed
are.
Apache Enforcer, and he had this to say.
I wanted to play. I wanted to play with everybody. You know, especially it's not like
He still
"Oh,
sounds
we'll
mad
play
about
next
it.
week." Well, there's no next week. I didn't like that because that was a reminder of a game that kept.
He sounds fucking
I
pissed.
created lots of friendship from it, and it's something that I
10
wanted
years
to,
later.
play and enjoy again.
Bungie noticed this and even gave a few of them early access.
Hell
beta
hath
codes
no
for
fury
Halo
like a
Reach.
gamer
Not that they were
unplugged.
going to take them up on that
True.
offer and get a Microsoft spokesperson came out and said this: a small band of a committed few engaged in a battle against insurmountable odds. It's not Noble Team from Halo Reach. It's the final, passionate few who are still playing Halo 2.
That's
We
so
wish them the
cute.
best in their battle against time. They now had a name, the Noble 14. It was fitting. Halo Reach was just around the corner, and its theme was inevitability, just like Noble Team in Halo Reach.
God, how
Everyone knew
poetic.
that this was a
Oh
battle
my
with the
goodness.
Noble 14. As the third week came around, there was only 2 players left: Agent Windex and Apache Enforcer. And on May 10th at 4:15
Apache.
PM, Agent Windex got booted offline.
No!
There was only one person left.
Why?
Apache Enforcer, the last person ever on Xbox Live. When Windex was
No!
booted offline, he left this message in the forum: "Good job, Apache. You're the last one."
I think I planned on playing it for 14, 15 hours.
What?
Basically an
Doing
hour
what?
for every person that played, the 14 of us, and then the extra hour for the community.
He
Oh
stayed
my
on
God,
for
that's so
22
cute.
hours after Agent Windex. Then he was booted offline too. And with that, the original Xbox Live was gone. I hope I never have to see the end of what I consider to be some of my best childhood memories. But if I do, I can only hope I can be as dedicated as these noble 14.
What a moving story. Godspeed, Apache. He is still cold sweats, sleepless nights, shaking his fist mad at Windex for DCing. Just imagine, they only made it 3 weeks. I thought that shit went on for months. If it was me, you know what I'd do if I could do it over? City of Heroes. I would have held that fucking game hostage if I could have. Instead of just let it fade. I would have kept that computer running under any circumstance. A fucking flood wouldn't take it out. I'd have that shit encased in like epoxy or something, ventilated, climate controlled, make sure there's no chance of a power outage, and if there was, there'd be like 16 different ISPs all feeding into my internet for that one unit. I'd keep that shit on for life. I would have kept it on life support forever. You gotta stay committed. You know what? From now on, anytime any of you guys know about a game that's shutting down, let me know. I'm gonna hop in there and try and hold it hostage. Just for the sake of it. See how long I could get them by the balls. Who folds first, them or me? They'll have to fucking pay me to get off their server. I don't even care if it's a game I like. Give me Overwatch, I don't care. No, I mean like, they're shutting down a game. Usually when a multiplayer game shuts down, that has a community, they give forewarning. Like they did with City of Heroes, like they did with Halo and all that. So whenever that comes, let me know. Like tag me in it on Twitter, and I'm hopping in. I will keep a machine running at all times. I'm sure you guys saw that fucking Ethereum farmer on Twitter, that fucking bastard, who had like an entire warehouse, multiple stories of nothing but 3090s running 24/7 in order to pump Ethereum. I would do that just to hold Jump Force hostage. They're shutting down the original Titanfall servers in March, alright? Queuing up. I'm just gonna be a notorious, like, time bandit. Titanfall is unplayable though, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But maybe I can talk to the people that have hacked the entire game and just see if they'll let me hang out. Just to keep the server online. Like, they're doing it just to fuck with EA, I think. I'm kind of doing the same thing, right? I'm holding their servers hostage. Halo 3, ODST, and Reach are closing on January 22nd. Oh, the originals are closing down. So the OG 360 servers. So this is the exact same situation that Noble 14 was facing. It's my time to rise. I even have my fucking Master Chief helmet. I'm holding all 3 of those games hostage then. I've even got... I'll be honest, I didn't even know they still had the 360 servers up. So this one's right around the corner. January 13th. NBA 2K20 shuts down in 9 days. Oh, that's fine. They can bury that. I'm not even gonna try to keep that alive. Fuck that. That whole goddamn franchise should go in the dirt. Is it possible to water cool an Xbox 360? No, which is why I'm gonna have to build a climate-controlled environment, constantly pumping good juice to it, so it never overheats. I'll figure it out. My story is not gonna be nearly as wholesome as Noble 14. They kept the servers alive, held them hostage so they could continue to play the game they love. I'd keep them alive just because fuck you. So mine probably wouldn't be as moving, I don't think. They certainly wouldn't write a cool story about it.
Majority shares in. You will now make casual mobile games for all eternity.
Oh no!
Where were we? Oh yeah. Now, Far Cry 3 is as incredible as it is bland. It's a game that tries to ask what an ordinary guy would do in a life or death scenario, who would you save, and whose head would you step on in order to get what you want. And all that can be answered just as soon as you help out.
There are 42 unique categories on speedrun.com for Minecraft Java Edition, not counting subcategories for specific versions. Inevitably, some of these categories have better world records than others, and in this video I'll be looking at some of the hardest ones to beat. Before I get into the video, make sure that if you enjoy the content. Anyways, the first one that I'll be taking a look at is the most popular category, 1.16 Random Seed Glitchless. To put it lightly, beating the world record requires absolutely astronomical amounts of luck. In it, Brentilda spawned in a plains biome, got resources from a nearby village, and entered the nether with a lava pool. In the nether, he is immediately able to see a bastion, fortress, and fossil. This isn't any ordinary fossil though, because it spawned in the 0-0 chunk of the nether, meaning that he could use something called divine travel. Essentially, by finding the X value of the starting block of the fossil, he can refer to a chart that will tell him where to exit the nether and be close to the stronghold. Anyways, after getting ender pearls, string, obsidian, and fire resistance from the bastion, he went over to the fortress and got blaze rods. At the divine travel coordinates, he left the nether at 8 minutes and his overworld spawn was in the stronghold right next to the portal room. Soon after, he was in the end and the dragon perched fairly quickly, giving him a final time of 9 minutes and 36 seconds. While the biggest time save in this run is the post-nether, nether traveling into the stronghold has been done multiple times and even once into the portal room, but it's a matter of getting that kind of luck on good pace. For comparison, the next fastest 1.16 random seed glitchless run is 11 minutes and 1 second from Piper J3 Cub, but that's not to say that people haven't been desperately trying to break the record. In fact, the time is so unattainable that speedrunners have turned to optimizing the only thing that they can control: reset speed. So far, runners have been using a macro to instantly reset, and if they have a good enough CPU, playing on 4 Minecrafts at once and using a macro to instantly switch between them and reset. How many resets, you may ask? Well, the person with the most is Jojo by far, and he's resetting at a pace upwards of 1,000 seeds per hour with over 200,000 total. He is definitely an outlier though, and someone with more normal efficient resetting might go through about 300 per hour. In other words, millions of worlds have been reset and no one has come within a minute and 25 seconds of the record. Moving on, the second category is set seed glitchless pre 1.9. This category is hard, and I don't mean just beating the world record, I mean in general. While you need a lot of luck to obtain the record, having good mechanics and the ability to think on your feet is vital. Unofficially, the world record is held by Galactic Afro, so let's take a look. Right off the spawn, the runner gets 2 logs, 27 sugarcane, and goes straight toward a desert temple. After looting it and crafting gold tools and paper, they make their way to a village where they will break bookshelves and trade the paper and books for emeralds. With a cleric villager, they trade the remaining gold for an emerald and buy a piece of redstone in order to unlock the Eye of Ender trade. Once that's obtained, they get some wood and carrots and make their way to the stronghold, where they will collect an ender pearl from a chest before filling in the portal and entering the end. Ah, the end in pre 1.9, the place where nearly every run dies if the player didn't already get screwed by villager RNG. In order to beat the dragon quickly, you need to have 2 things: short obsidian towers that are near each other and good dragon charge RNG. Galactic Afro had 2 short towers right next to each other, and with 2 quick dragon charges, they managed to knock down half of its health. A little to the side, there were 2 more short towers that were close to each other, and with 2 more fast dragon charges, they were able to beat the game in 3 minutes and 28 seconds. If you watch this run and don't think it looked very hard, give it a go and report back to me when you rage quit. Up next, all advancements version 1.16 in a random seed. This category is arguably the ultimate persistence test in Minecraft, and you would imagine that the world record would be insane. Well, if that's what you imagined right, because Eli Saku managed to do this in 5 hours, 51 minutes, and 38 seconds. That time is probably meaningless to you, so let me tell you what second place is. What Sockboy managed to get a time of 6 hours, 52 minutes, and 7 seconds. That's right, over an hour difference between the two. While I'm not going to break down the run for obvious reasons, the hardest advancement in the game is the Beaconator if you Google search it. Good thing that I'm here to tell you that Google is full of bullshit, because the actual hardest advancement is How Did We Get Here, where you need to have every single effect in the game applied at once. This is done toward the end of an all advancement speedrun, and a sizable chunk of the run is dedicated to setting up this confusing contraption. Aside from that, the most seed dependent advancement is Adventuring Time, where you need to locate every biome in the overworld. Eli Saku spawned in a jungle biome with a nearby mesa, which helps save time. The run is finished after he respawns the dragon and completes arguably the hardest advancement in the game, getting an upgrade. That's right, crafting a stone pickaxe is the final thing that he had to do. Now for a record that is difficult to beat for a fairly similar reason to 1.16 random seed glitchless, 1.9 to 1.15 set seed glitchless. There is one reason for its inclusion in this list, and after hearing about it, you're gonna question why this category even exists. Currently, the record is held by Minecravenger, so let's take a look. He spawns in an acacia biome, grabs 2 logs, and heads for a village, but on the way, grabs a buried treasure. After crafting 3 gold pickaxes and 1 gold shovel, he grabs some gravel for flint, and now he is on his way to the village, which is the main place where the run gets reset. The reason for that is because you need a minimum of 17 obsidian across 3 blacksmith chests. This is just if you are trying to get a decent time though, because realistically, in order to beat the record, you need to get all of that obsidian from the first chest like Minecraft did. In this version, blacksmith chest loot is randomized, not seed dependent, and the odds of that happening are low as fuck. According to the Minecraft wiki, the average per chest is 1.4. Anyways, back to the run where Minecraft collects some more stuff from the village, builds a portal, and enters the nether. After digging into the fortress, he collects a chest with 4 obsidian and gets to the location of the exiting portal. Once through it and in the end, the run comes down to a really good perch, which is what Minecraft got. Now, admittedly, this world record isn't quite as hard to beat as the others I've mentioned, but it's been over a year since it was beaten. The reason for its inclusion on this list is because who the fuck would want to constantly grind getting 17 obsidian from the first blacksmith chest? Lastly, this video wouldn't be complete without a mention of filtered seed glitchless. This category is the only time in Minecraft speedrunning that a bounty was issued for getting under a certain time. Over $1,200 was on the table for the first person to get a sub 5-minute run. Nearly a month and a half after this was started, Davey finally claimed it. Before getting into his run, there's some things that you should know about filtered seed glitchless, FSG for short. The category uses a seed filter to give what are essentially perfectly optimized random seed glitchless seeds. Sub 1 enter, looting sword, instant fortress and bastion, and guaranteed great nether travel with strongholds being ocean exposed. With all of these seed guarantees and a bounty being set for the first sub 5, you could imagine just how competitive this category is. On the list of people who entered the bounty, you'll find some of the best runners in the game, all trying to be the ones who claim it, and when Davey did just that, he set one of the most insane world records in Minecraft speedrunning. Not only did he beat his own world record by 26 seconds, but he cut Brentilda's 9:36 record in half and then some. Without further ado, the run. He spawned in a snowy taiga biome, and after getting the ruined portal chest and some logs, he finished the ruined portal and entered the nether at 36 seconds. He spawned on top of a housing bastion, and after breaking chests for enough iron to craft an iron pickaxe, he led piglins on a top-down route to where the gold blocks are. At just over 2 minutes, he had all of his trades and was off to the nearby fortress, where he only had to kill 3 blazes for 7 rods because of a looting 3 sword. At around 3:10, he was out of the nether and in search of the stronghold, and after following the direction of the eye, he spotted an ocean exposed portal room. At 3:50, he entered the end, and now would probably be a good time to tell you that the dragon perch speed has killed many similar paced runs. Most notably, Horsey, another major FSG grinder, entered the end at 3:10 on the same day, but didn't get a perch. Now back to Davey, because he managed to get a very fast perch speed and one-cycled the dragon. 4 minutes and 47 seconds was his final time, and with that, the bounty was claimed. There's still so much I left out regarding FSG, so smash the like button if you think I should make a separate video dedicated to it. Well, that's all for this video. Remember, just because I didn't feature a category doesn't mean that the world record is easy. For example, since
super cool hand.
Yeah! Well, then watch the end of this video.
Oh, and we'll explain how?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, that's good. Well done. Thanks. Was that alright?
Smooth.
Yeah, let's get into the vid.
Everyone knows you can start a fire or burn an ant with a little magnifying glass, but what about a big one, Heron?
The biggest one you've seen.
That's flipping massive.
Now, this video is sponsored by KiwiCo, but more about them later, Stanford.
And you know what else we're going to find out about, Derek?
Whoa!
Giant gold bar.
This
I'm looking.
is a 400-ounce solid gold
How
bar.
much is that
Kilos.
worth?
$1 million.
Excuse me?
$1 million gold bar!
Who trusted you with that? The Perth Mint did, Derek. We're here at their refinery and they've graciously allowed us to attempt this rather frankly
we don't
absurd
own this.
experiment. No, but we're going to try and melt it.
Can we melt this gold